Please welcome Steve Kowalik. I hope I spoke it nearly as correct as you like to.
It's close enough.
Okay, thanks. Talking about his obsession. So, Steve, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I wasn't going to start this with a bad joke, but I may as well. So, Obsession by Stephen K. My new fragrance. I'm hoping this is better than the one I did in LCA. Hopefully due to the fact that I have more than one talk. I was traveling to LCA and I went to a wedding reception in Yass. The organizer of the minicon said, "Oh, would you like..." When? Tomorrow? Oh, all right. What I hope to cover in this talk is give you a short trawl through the milestones that I've passed or stumbled over while developing Linda. I plan on taking you deep into the guts of Linda and showing you what makes it tick. And I'll go over what you might want to do to help me out. And then I'll show you what I think I might want to do for the future of Linda. Well, I'm aware that LinkedIn already exists. Where's Duran? Where are you hiding? I'm aware that it exists, but actually at the time I started writing Linda, LinkedIn was attained, and mine was I felt it was unmade. My opinions of the code are still colored by my first impressions of reading the Perl. And it doing things like warning about libc6 that haven't actually for the last 3 years or so, and, much everywhere. And being a twisted mash of shell and Perl just doesn't really give you a warm and fuzzy feeling of no false positives and stuff like that. The second reason I wanted to learn Python, and I found that the best way to do that is to actually think of something and start writing it, going through a tutorial or something. And the third reason is I have an utterly unhealthy interest in policy. I don't know why, but I get excited when there are new versions of policy released, and I watch Debian-policy at list.d.o with unhealthy obsession. So first, Linda actually started life as Lisa, and when it was shown at LCA02, I've got a few ideas, some of which are still actually in Linda today. The main thing that I walked away from that talk was AJ, and I don't know who's here, but he sort of said that Lisa's already used by the Katie package for handling new and by hand packages, and could you please choose something else? So he suggested also the fact that it starts with LIN, and I liked it, so it stuck. So the rest of the conference was actually spent rewriting the packaging and making her like the new name. I announced Linda to Debian-Devel on the 16th of March 2002, and I made DWN 4 days later, which is March. Linda 008, complete with a stupid typo, was uploaded to the archive on the 4th of June and made it through new 6 hours later. The next big milestone was 0013, which added support for changes and UDEBs. So the next milestone was 1.0 after 0018. I thought I'd fixed enough bugs to actually warrant a major version jump. The next thing of note is actually kind of fun, and I implemented in 013, which is multiple output formats. I'm pretty sure most of you have actually seen them, but I'll show them off anyway. If we just pick a random... Oh, bollocks. well, that's VNC rec being dumb, but don't hit tab. It's just a random package I happen to have in the directory. However, the next mode is even more fun. anything to say for yourself?
I happen to know that these are pretty old jokes.
Well, they're mine. Linda 016 actually included a POT file. I didn't actually have any idea how to do localization or internationalization then, but I started generating one, so it's got to count for something. Linda 0112, James Troop, Matthias Close, and myself implemented a way of seeing if a binary indirectly links against two different versions of the same library. For example, you've got a binary that links against two libraries. Let's call them library A and library B. Library B links against library C. And then the fun starts when library A and library C are the same library with two different servers. I actually have an example to show you. What's it called? That one. So someone's already screwed up the C++ transition and has uploaded their package too early. And they would have actually caught this if they'd run Linda across their package before uploading it. But
since you've embarrassed me, why don't you show us who maintains that?
all right. I don't think they're here. No.
Uh-oh, Debian JP. Once again.
So the next milestone was point 2, after I'd actually rewritten enough to consider it good enough. And true to form, it took another 4 releases to actually stabilize again. In 2.2, I actually got rid of the dependency on Python apt by no longer using apt package for version comparison. It's kind of funny getting a segfault bug on PA risk on a architectural package. It seems that the Python apt library does something really screwy and causes a segfault. It causes a segfault of Python on PA risk.
Do you know if that's still true?
No, I worked around it by getting rid of the dependency.
Did you file a bug?
Right, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Brandon. He give the rest of the talk. I think I'll do that and check. In 0.26, I tried to do the whole localization thing all by myself, started passing lang and friends, and trying to print out other languages and warnings by looking up description.parsedlang like debconf does in its templates. And a few versions later, I actually figured out that this was a really bad move. Parsing lang is bloody hard. And even then, what happens if you get it wrong? And so I left that bit of the code alone, just sort of hoping that no one noticed. No one actually did, because I didn't actually get any translations, but in 0.2.16, something quite amusing happened. I was a couple of days away from releasing it, and someone filed a bug saying that their package couldn't be unpacked by Linda. I'm checking, and actually by that stage, I'd rewritten level 2 unpacking to fix another bug. And, oh, that's right, I looked at it and decided it was absolute crap. And I'm running Linda on this .deb going, but it does work, what are you talking about? 0.30 is the biggest milestone to date. Changelog entry is 140 lines long, and I've pretty much hit every bit of code. This is also where I start going through the guts of Linda. Linda copped a bootstrapping module, which runs early initialization. But it isn't actually that early, because the command line parser module runs first. This is why Bootstrap actually exists, because if you need to actually do anything that references the Linda namespace in the command line parser, the Linda module actually imports linda.cl parser. And then if you try and import Linda in that, you go around and around and around. So I actually just had the epiphany to add a bootstrapping module and fix that. Collector appear to fresh, which encapsulates running file and objump and LDD and other such things. That was pulled out of Unpacker since I wanted 0.30 to be a little bit cleaner. I wrote 12 parsing modules from scratch. mainly because the control file parser in 02 could be used to scare small children, and because most of the files in Debian packages that are required to be parsed can be actually done with a generalistic RFC 822 style parser. A test suite. I know it's a good idea, and I've been meaning to do one for quite a while, and 03 was actually when I finally decided to figure out how to do it. It runs about 195 tests, which probably encapsulate about 400 odd warnings. The other scary thing is that just the checks of Linda is about 1,000 lines of Python, whereas the test suite is about 4.5. And actual localization of error messages. Has anyone ever tried running Linda in a German locale? Does it work?
No,
Oh.
not in UTF-8. It outputs in the wrong child set.
I fixed that bug. Which
Okay,
version of Linda are you running?
0.3.15.
Bother. Can you come and see me after? I actually have seen it working though. I promise. I'm not picking on Brandon or anything. But does that look correct?
Yeah, it looks correct. But if I have here a UTF-8 terminal and set lang to DE UTF-8, I get the wrong encoding in the output.
I really thought I fixed that.
Let's investigate this later.
Because I got a bug filed against it. I looked at it and went, I thought I fixed that. So German is actually the most complete translation I have, even though I've been told it doesn't work. Although admittedly there are a few issues with actually getting translators to work their magic over 530 strings, most of which are paragraph sized. Related to this change, description files were renamed to data files because the descriptions actually no longer live there and are in a POT file. So she does what? Well, the first thing that happens is Python spawned off, funnily enough, because she's written in Python. And roughly 6 modules in the Linda namespace are imported. A few unimportant things are looked over, like is our installation sane? Like, can it find a few directories and are there files under them? Am I running as root? If it is, it will drop to nobody. And they do specify the -S flag because someone said, if I run it as root, then it can't read the files it unpacks. Well, it's -S for stupid, but... and then it checks if there's one or more valid files specified on the command line. We then instantiate a checker object, which does all the heavy lifting, like unpacking and running all the checks, that are in the registry. After all the checks are run, the overrides are processed, and then we print out the errors and the warnings, the ones that weren't actually overridden. That's a basic description of what happens. Linda in 100 words or less. There are a few other things that need to be explained, like CL parser doing the extremely early initialization, like checking if files exist. And the fact that checks themselves need to inherit from libchecks.lindachecker, since that actually provides a few of the methods that you need to actually call to be a sane check. So I've got a little one here. Even if you don't understand Python, I feel that this is probably self-explanatory enough that I can just step through it quickly and to show you what happens. Class means I want to be a class. I inherit from libchecks.lindachecker. Def means I want to make a method or a subroutine in Python. I don't know why. The check binary 1 is special. When the last line is called, the checks.register, it actually runs get a true on the class and sees it if it implements check binary or source 1 or 2, and then runs it at that level. And then I just call the newer feature method, which just runs AR, and then if there's data.tar or data.tar.bz2 in there, I say, you you're using a newer feature than is actually allowed. Funnily enough, that's allowed in Ubuntu at the moment, so I don't know what they're doing with this check. So how can you help out? I know I say this every time, but translations, nothing makes my day like receiving an email with a PO file attached that teaches Linda a new language or corrects her skills in a language. Write patches. I've never received a non-trivial patch to Linda. I don't know why you're all afraid of my Python skills or what, but I'd like to really receive a patch via a bug report. Even just testing her, another thing that makes my day is a well thought out bug report that says, I run Linda on my package and it does this. And I think it should do this instead. It's in this check, it's about this line. I don't have any Python skills, so I can't fix it, but to have a look. One of the things that actually annoys me the most is when I get a bug report filed against Linda saying, I ran Linda on this package, here is the error. And then I check, and the package in question is not even in the archive, and they haven't provided me a website where to get the package. An idea for a new test, or what you'd consider a false positive for a test. Even if you're wrong, I'll still look at the code and see if I can actually see what it does, and maybe just kick myself and rewrite it because it looks dumb. Linda is mostly undocumented. I know this is hard to believe, but all the documents actually written, or it's in my head. I've made attempts at correcting this by actually documenting Linda. I've written 2 small docs, both text files that haven't been touched since about 0.1. But I usually get bored halfway through or distracted, and my idea for writing the docs just goes away. I'd really like Linda to have auto-generated good documentation. I don't know if there's Deoxygen or something like that for Python, but maybe if someone knows anything about doing auto documentation, come and find me or send me a mail or something. Well, now I'm going to make a complete and utter fool of myself and write a test for Linda in real time. So I've got my copy of Emacs. I'm going to write this as a local check, which go under .linda in your home directory. So the first thing to realize is that you need to, you need to import libchecks and checks. Define a class, and don't forget to inherit.
Steve?
Yes?
Could you turn it like white on black or something, or larger font?
It's that hard to read?
Back here.
Does anyone know how I can do that to Emacs then? Run Emacs in an X term. Are you mad? Yeah. Sorry? Dim the light. Where's the MC gone then? What I'll do is this instead. Where is it? It was something involving...
It's the other menu.
It's the other menu?
The middle menu.
Really?
No, actually, I'm sorry.
There we go.
Yeah. I think you blew up the video.
Right. Oh.
Control middle button.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was doing that before that happened.
It went away again. Oh, it's back.
Right. Is that better?
No. You need to, okay, escape, colon. You're going to do a colon mode command set. Background equals dark. Control right button to
Oh, I can read it. What about the rest of you?
You could control right button in Emacs. Gives you a menu with fonts.
So now we're switching back to Emacs. Will you people please make up your mind? And control right button doesn't do anything. Oh. Is the font just too small? Is that what's wrong?
Why do you need a text editor at all? Use cat.
Fine. I can do that. I don't make typos. I could. I'm not crazy. Because, sorry?
Increase your font size.
That's already large. I can go one up.
Huge.
I would change font size in Emacs.
Right. I think that's in a menu.
Yeah.
Of course.
Options, font size.
Right. I just prefer this as opposed to typing using, say, cat or echo. So we implement the first method. You pass self because it's going to actually be a method as opposed to just being a standard subroutine. I'm not going to implement separate method calls for this. I'm just going to go and do it. So how about we just make fun of something that everyone's seen before? And so we want this to actually print something out. And so you accomplish that by calling self.signalerror. And because I forgot to do this before when I was checking if this actually worked, and thanks to increasing the font size, I can't actually see the mini buffer. Let's just hope I can type blind. Hooray! Wait. And we say it's an error because we want people to be embarrassed that they're checking a supplicant package. No. And we'll just check if Linda has actually noticed. Right. And that's what happens when you don't do it right. So I'll just accidentally borrow. Yeah, well, don't believe everything you hear. Right. And it's not there. Of course it's not there. Now, third time's the charm. There it is. And now, you'll notice that it actually just types out the string with an underscore s at the end. It means it's trying to look up the short description string in the POT file. getText notices that there's no string called supplicant-package underscore s and just returns the original string. I've tried, in the half an hour or so I had before coming here, I tried to figure out if I could make that better. It seems I can't. If anyone has any ideas of how to do that, please see me as well. So looking towards Linda 04, I don't actually have any hard and fast ideas. I'm actually mulling over the idea of using Alexa to go through the RFC 822 star files, since if you throw it something, if you throw Linda something she doesn't understand in an RFC 822 file, it does actually just die with like a 20-line traceback. I'm also considering profiling the hell out of her and rewriting parts in C but number one, I don't know how to do that, and number two, I would like to know how to do that. So if anyone knows if that's a good idea or a bad idea, right. And right on time, questions. Has anyone got any? Dancer.
Not yet out of time.
Not.
15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes for questions.
Okay.
I'll finish early. That's okay. First, yeah.
Well, I had a question. When I release a package, I generally have a script that runs both Linda and Lintian, and then I look at all the different errors and warnings and compare them and try to figure out which are broken in which way and which is my fault. And I wonder if this is ever going to get more unified, so I can just run one program that actually outputs, all the things that they both check for right now.
Well, jump on him and tell him to remove Lintian from the archive, and problem solved. I have actually been meaning to talk to Jerome about perhaps, I don't know, having some way of having them interoperate. I don't know if that's actually going to become reality, but I can try. The reason I started Linda is because I didn't like Lintian, so that's why there's two of them.
Well, yeah, but neither one is a subset of the other, so if you really care, you run both.
That's right.
What did he say?
If you really care, you'll run both, which I also think is really good advice. Whereas the maintainer of Bookmark Bridge evidently did not, since Lintian doesn't actually do the double schlib check. You've got a bug about that, did you notice?
Yeah. Question, does the check work if you don't have the libraries installed?
No. That's actually... well, the question was, does the check work if you don't have the libraries installed? I tried to debug this. It's actually quite hard to do it. You can't do it if you don't have the libraries on the file system.
Yeah.
Since Bookmark Bridge links against G++4 and parts of KDE link against G++3, you need the KDE lib on the file system to actually check what it links against. I found that if you don't actually have it installed, you don't get the error. But I thought that this was okay, since if the maintainer is running it, he's going to have the library installed so he can actually run the damn thing. Anyone else?
Yeah, but that does mean, on the other hand, that
Hold on.
you can get
Yep.
No.
That does mean that if you run Linda multiple times on a different system on a certain package, you can get different outputs, because it really depends on what environment you run it in. Also, is Linda cross architecture? Can you run it on a PowerPC package if you own i386?
Yes. I think I still suggest or recommend Benutil's multi-arch, which deals with this sort of thing. It will deal. I have tried it. I haven't tried it recently, but as far as I'm aware, it still actually works. At the moment, I'm actually in the middle of breaking FTP UK Debian.org by running Linda across the entire archive. And at some point, I'm going to run it across not just i386 packages like I am at the moment, but i386, PowerPC, and perhaps something like ARM or Spark or something, and just see what happens. Yeah. Any other questions? I know Dancer had one.
Hi, I'm Junichi Eka.
Yep.
And I would like to ask about the internationalization aspect of Linda.
Internationalization, what, sorry?
Internationalization of the strings in Linda. Because you have the strings, or the short strings and long strings, as a very crypted string, as a some string underbar S and some string underbar
yeah,
L.
that's called the tag.
Yes. Why are you using the tag as a translation, get text, what do you call it? I can't remember, but the get text message ID, and not the actual short string, because most translators are used to translating the short message ID as the original English. Yes, I'm aware of that, and if Christian Perry is here, he's been jumping on me about it since I got here. He filed a bug saying that the internationalization of Linda is just appalling, and what are you doing? Basically, getText is designed to take one string, look up another string. I don't want to have the English just in the checks, because then if you've actually got two checks with the same text, you then may actually get the wrong long description if they've got different long descriptions. So I look it up by tag. So I'm actually doing what getText was actually designed to do, which is take one string, look up another one, and return it if it exists, as well as a little hack to the Python getText module so that it actually falls back to EN rather than C. But since I think 0114 or so, I've actually started, no, not you. No. Bear with me. Oh, looks like I haven't built Linda. Anyway, what happens during the build process is that the en.po is actually passed in and is actually spat out into the POT with the English as a comment and the tag as the message ID, so that translators should hopefully just be able to change the message stir and then submit it as a PO file, and everyone's happy. However, Christian Perry still isn't, and he has a question.
Yeah, not actually a question, but I want to resume our talks together, because
now?
I think, well, we are talking now also, but we talked together a while ago. And the problem with this system, and you know it now, the translators do not notice when you change the English messages. So this is why we still have to improve the things, and we have to find someone who is able to hack down something again, probably. It's a call for volunteers.
Do we actually have any getText hackers in the audience?
Yeah, we need getText hackers to sort this out.
All right, you all disavow all knowledge. All right.
We will find one.
Any more questions? Yes, Lars.
Would it be possible to rewrite the policy so that it can automatically be, the checks can automatically be generated from that?
Sorry, can you speak a little slower?
Would it be possible to rewrite policy, the actual document, in a machine parsable format that could be used to generate the checks itself?
I have one question. Are you mad? I started this to write a checker, not rewrite policy.
Package Linda replaces Debian policy.
I like the way you think. Sorry? I don't implement everything in policy as yet. Patches welcome. This has actually come up before, where I actually said, you know, you're mad the first time. Why didn't ESR come? He likes writing shit like this. Yeah, I haven't actually, since policy just aims to be so, you know, so well defined, it's actually, in my opinion, quite difficult to do something like this and write, you know, your package must do this. I don't think you can just take policy on its own and just sort of convert it to some machine parsable format, then put it through, then actually pass it and just run it across a package and see what you get. I don't think that's worthwhile, because you've also got if you write policy in machine parsable format, then you're actually taking away the author's idea of what policy actually means. And I think that's where some of the strength lies, where someone like Brandon can look at a paragraph in policy and just say, I think it means this. Where someone else can look at it and say, no, I think you're wrong, it means this. Then you take it to the tech committee and sort it out. But
in 2 or 3 years.
In 2 or 3 years, yes. Yeah, any other questions? But if someone actually wants to do that, patches are welcome. I'm guessing either to Debian policy or Linda. No one else? Right. Thank you for your attention.